Let's speak right now to Sir Iain Duncan Smith, MP, Conservative MP, former Conservative Party leader. Good morning to you, Sir Iain. I'm sure you want to pass comment on what sounds like a horrific incident in Manchester.
Yes, it's terrible. Actually, it's the idea that somebody in their worship has been attacked, and a whole group of people are attacked, and particularly because there is a rise of anti-Semitism in the United Kingdom. Yep. It's everywhere. I'm horrified by it, and I think it's appalling. So I don't know who obviously did the stabbing, but the one thing I will say to the police: make sure you are clear as to who has carried out this stabbing quickly. Otherwise, you will end up with lots of speculation. You have to be clear about this, be forceful, be straight, and tell us the truth. And don't try and hide it because you're worried about what may happen. The truth is, if you hide it, worse things will happen.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Well, we'll keep people up to date with their developments. Let's talk, first of all, about, in terms of news stories, about Keir Starmer announcing his plan to tighten asylum laws. He says he wants to end the golden ticket to settling the UK. So when someone gets asylum, wins asylum, they get to stay for 5 years. After that point, they apply for indefinite leave to remain, at which point, bring your whole family over. They've been accused of just another gimmick. Is it another gimmick?
I think it is, actually, because if you think about it, you can stay up to 5 years. If you're somebody crossing the boats, you'll buy that quite happily, even if it means, you're going to be kicked out at some point, you think, because you always believe you won't be. And the record for the UK government over the last God knows how many years has been that people don't get kicked out, really, and that's the gamble that they will take. That's why they pay for the boats. That's why they come across, risk their lives, because they think at the end of it all, they will still be here in the UK, and something will be done to make sure that they stay permanently. And to do it on a blanket basis does actually hit other people. Like, for example, those on B&O passports who fled Hong Kong after China moved in, which we welcome them quite legitimately here because they were essentially British citizens. They'll be caught up in this as well. And, of course, China is doing its level best to grab hold of these people and drag them back to Hong Kong, threatening them. They have false police stations here. So this... It sounds to me after the Labour conference like a sort of peculiar gimmick that they want to sort of suggest they're really bold and brave on this. But this is not going to solve the problem. The problem is that if you come over here, you will basically stay here.
Yeah, and they know that.
You get them out, get them away, and then that pull factor is gone.
Well, to be fair, I mean, you've been talking about this for many years, even against your own government when they were in power on this. We're told the army chiefs are now being put on standby to build camps for migrants as they launch this new sort of borders blitz, we're told. The thing is, the British public just sort of hear this stuff and they just roll their eyes, they shake their heads and go, oh, more of the same. None of it's going to make any difference because you don't really mean it. They don't really mean it. No one really means it. And the whole time, every policy that's announced is basically, whether it's by the Conservatives or whether it's by Labour Party, is just following stuff that Nigel Farage and Reform have been calling for years. You're just following in his footsteps, aren't you?
Well, no, this was originally the plan from the word go under the last government. The trouble was, it was stymied by the House of Lords and by the judges. And that's because we should have and could have and must get rid of the Convention of Human Rights application within these cases. And Starmer started suddenly talking about elements of the human rights issue, but he's a human rights lawyer, and the whole place is packed with human rights lawyers, and their determination to stop this will be bound in. So unless you actually literally break the link with the Convention of Human Rights, are leaving it in that regard, and also stopping UK judges from stopping people being deported because of the nature of the right to a family life, or the Children's Convention, the UN, or the Refugee Convention. These all have to go. And the one thing I will say is that Kemi is actually going to come forward with a very serious plan as how you do that, what it will take, and how to get that done, and then immediately start accelerating the withdrawals of people back to wherever it is, Rwanda or wherever we settle them.
I'm still absolutely convinced that no one would believe that any of this will ever really happen. Here's something I really do hope does. I mean, I'm sorry, but I think I represent quite a lot of other members of the public who are just completely cynical that anyone in power currently, all the Tories, all they have got the will to deal with this. They just don't trust you guys anymore.
Well, I know there's a sort of cynicism about it, and I've been around.
Reality check about it.
Sorry?
A reality check about it.
Well, it is, and there's a cynicism, quite reality about that. And the reality for us is you're going to have to say what you're going to do, and you have to do it.
Yeah.
The
Is there
problem
something
is,
else? Well,
we
heck,
say we want to do it, we don't do it.
no, well, indeed. I mean, again, at least we thought you guys sometimes maybe had the will, but you definitely didn't have the way. No one even thinks Labour have got the will. When it comes to net zero, that's another big announcement we've got from your party leader, Kemi Badenoch. It's been very quiet and barely got a mention even at Labour or Lib Dem conference. They were just too busy attacking Nigel Farage. But she has vowed to scrap the failed climate change law, drop all those targets, which, again, are insane, will cost trillions, busy impoverishing the country. Again, is this a policy that she's been dragged to kicking and screaming because it's what an awful lot of Tory or ex-Tory or would-be Tory voters want? Or is this something that she genuinely believes? Because she was bigging up this stuff when she was in government.
Yeah, I do genuinely believe that that's what she sees. I mean, I've been opposed to this thing from day one.
You have?
But the reality is very simple. What's going on at the moment, the reason why people are poorer, the reason why they feel like they're being hammered by everything else is because the costs of net zero are hidden.
Yeah.
They are taxes. And the government hasn't got the courage to tell everybody how much extra in tax they are paying to get this ludicrous case of Miliband on net zero. I mean, here we saw a story just today that it's cost them over £1 billion to shut down the wind farms because they're generating electricity that they can't send anywhere.
It's painful. It's actually
and then
painful.
People are suddenly realizing what this is all about. They're going to have huge cables, towers all over the UK, whilst people are having to have a new set of ability to be able to transfer electricity all over the UK, damaging the environment, making where you live awful. All of this stuff is yet to come. All of that is being paid for by extra charges on everything you can imagine to do with net zero, which are hidden taxes, and that we need to come out and say enough is enough. This rush to net zero is an absurdity. It's an absolute absurdity for a country that has less than 0.5% of any kind of emissions to affect the world.
No, but also even the policy, as stated, doesn't cut emissions. It just means that we don't have them on our... So we can just have dirtier products made abroad in China in coal-fired factories, shipped over on big oil tankers and you know, all diesel powered, and brought over here. And then we can go, oh, look at us. We haven't emitted many carbon emissions. I mean, it's
that's
absurd.
Exactly the point. This is the whole point about the lie of the net zero nonsense, is that somehow by wind farms and by solar arrays we're going to be okay. But the reality is we have to have gas power stations now permanently on standby. They never were before. Now they have to be on standby because when the wind doesn't blow and the sun doesn't shine, they have to step in immediately to cover the charge. That's more expensive and it uses more gas than we used to use. That is the absurdity of the net zero nonsense that's going on from all these people beating their breasts and claiming they love the environment.
Well, but also,
I love the environment, and that's why I want to get rid of these solar arrays, which cost the earth.
Don't you care about the children and the planets they're in? I think that's what I have to cry at some point.
I care about our environment, which is why I want to get rid of these solar arrays, because they are ridiculous. They're made, some of them are still made by slave labour. You know, we don't care about the real abuses taking place elsewhere, just to provide us.
It's a virtue signal. I'm going to have to interrupt because I just want to get you on just one final topic before I get back to the breaking news. But Michelle Mone, Lady Mone, you know, the bra queen, she, her husband, involved in a company, £122 million payment from taxpayers, from the government, doesn't have its own money, it's our money. It was given to them, given to his company during COVID as a result of her using this VIP fast-track route for Tory peers and Tory MPs to basically sell completely useless PPE equipment that was no use whatsoever. £122 million being demanded by the courts to be paid back. Fine as well. Should she also lose her peerage?
That's a matter, honestly, for what happens inside the laws, and I really don't understand how that works.
No. She's legally allowed to be, and she's a lawmaker in this country.
If it is true at the end of the day, then that is a reasonable approach to take. That therefore shouldn't be part of any further, politics within the Houses of Parliament. But the reality here is there's another question to be asked as well. I mean, how appallingly bad was the system that when things were sent to them, they didn't check, test, or understand whether they were any good, and they accepted them. If that was the case, they carry as much of the blame as anybody else for taking substandard products. So my question with all this, it doesn't just stop with the end product, it starts also with the system that seems to have been completely and utterly pointless.
And an abject lack of, checking up. A company that's been invented today happens to be, involved in, she made a financial benefit along with her kids in a trust from the money came from this business, and she's pushing this business forward, set up by her husband that day. I mean, a 4-year-old would smell a rat. It's absolutely extraordinary. Sir Iain Duncan Smith, we'll have to leave it there. Former Conservative Party leader, currently an MP as well. Thank you so much. Just to bring you more on that breaking news about that event in Manchester. So at Heaton Park Synagogue, we now know that 4 people have been injured in an attack. A car was driven at members of the public outside the synagogue. Bearing in mind it's Yom Kippur, it's the holiest day of the year in the Jewish calendar. Many families will be at synagogue today. This was a car driven at members of the public outside the synagogue. A security guard was attacked with a knife. Firearms officers were deployed and a shot was fired. It is believed that it is the suspect who'd been driving the car and who knifed security guard who has been shot. It is not known whether he is alive or dead, but believed to be still alive. Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, says the immediate danger is over, but that it is a serious incident. We'll bring you more on that as soon as we get it.